Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good
A warm
evening.
welcome to you for the 61st show of TLR Now, our regular TLR shows. And today is a special day. And I know I keep saying this in every show that I host, that it's a special show. But believe me, today's show is very special because we have not one, not two, but we have three guests who would be taking us through their journey today. So before we get on to the show, let me talk a bit about TLR Now. For those who may not know about us or who are tuning in for the first time, TLR Now is a niche training, mentoring, and coaching firm. We cater to the training, coaching, and mentoring needs of corporates, individual, and educational institutions. So now moving on to the show. As I said, we have three guests today, and I honestly am confused now how to introduce them. Do I introduce them as IT industry veterans? Or do I say, let me introduce you to three 10-year-olds? So let me take the risk. Probably I'll get thrashed after the show, but that's perfectly fine. So let me introduce to you three 10-year-olds, three 10-year-old industry veterans who are doing something very unique, something very distinct in the space they are in. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome Mr. Karthik Ganeshan, who is the co founder and director of Beyond Square Solutions, Mr. Venkatachalam, who is the chief product officer, or Venkat as he is known, who is the co founder and chief product officer, and my good friend Kishor, who is known as the Chief Digital Information Officer at Beyond Square Solutions. So, welcome, gentlemen. It's wonderful to have you here.
Thank you, Sriram. It's wonderful to be here today, especially it is a milestone year for us. And you have very rightly said that we are 10-year-olds, right? Having almost completed more than 25 years in the industry, this journey of 10 years that we have taken with Beyond Square is really, it feels as if we have taken baby steps and we have just reached a point in our life where we want to see the growth of Beyond Square from a 10-year-old to a teen and to a mature adult. And we want to
Wonderful.
hand over Beyond Square through this journey. And thank you for giving us an opportunity to talk to you today on this very special milestone.
Wonderful. Wonderful, Karthik. Thank you so much. It indeed is a baby step, and I'm sure the teen years are going to be as exciting. And I hope with all the fun that teenage years bring and beyond. So, Venkat, let me kind of start the proceedings with you. So, if I can borrow something from the IT language, what was the bug that prompted you guys to get into the IT product space? 10 years back, or even today, the IT services space, as the IT industry is generally famous for, is extremely well known. It's all standardized. It's a huge market, tremendous potential, very solid KGAR growth. IT product space was something that was, very well, very little known at that time. So, what exactly prompted you guys to enter this space?
Absolutely. I mean, thank you, Sriram, for hosting us. And before I answer that question, I would want to thank Rangan Vardhan, CEO, co-founder, all our colleagues, family and friends for their unstinted support in the last 10 years. And I think without their support, I think this journey would not have been so memorable. And I think I want to use this opportunity to show our gratitude and thank all of them. Coming back to your question, I think it kind of goes back to our Infosys days because I joined Infosys when it was about 300 people, and when I left, it had about more than 100,000 people. So it, of course, had legendary leadership, legendary entrepreneurial team. That itself was enough inspiration for us to step out and see if we can do something, right? So our first bug kind of bitten by the fact that we were part of Infosys, we were part of the Infosys growth. And Karthik, Kishor, Rangan, we're all the colleagues in Infosys for a very long time, and we gelled very well. And so I would say that the bug of building a product was very much there even before we started Beyond Square. So and I think my colleagues here, Karthik in some programs and Rangan in some, were involved in building some client-focused solutions. We built an integrated trading platform for oil trading for oil companies. We built a value at risk solution. We built a client automation system. So these all were both built as bespoke solutions for client, which were then taken forward, to other client situations. So very closely involved in building products while there. And the prospect of being able to visualize, conceptualize, and develop a solution, right? Not just catering to needs of one client, but then a cross section of clients, and addressing their unsaid, requirements, right? Was like enough a challenge, and we couldn't just stay away from the challenge. And that's kind of what prompted us to focus on products. I mean, frankly speaking, I think we didn't carry any weight of expectation of this having to be a success. We never really looked at those aspects, right? But if I look back, and so that's the best way of looking at things, right? So would I want to start this journey again? I very well would want to start this journey again. So if I was there 10 years back, if I have to make this call, having made this journey for 10 years, I would want to do that again, right? I think. The other thing to say here is that the other day I was having a walk in the in our farm with Karthik, and he said working in some companies for a couple of years might look like a lifetime, right? Having worked and having been with Beyond Square for 10 years, it looks like we started this yesterday, right? That kind of pretty much answers the fact that it's something, whatever we choose, I think we choose right.
Wonderful, Venkat. I think that was pretty insightful, and I think it was nice to hear how you were able to take your corporate experience, the massive growth that Infosys was going through, how you were able to imbibe that, how it nurtured your entrepreneurial spirit. I think that's pretty fascinating. I think a lot of our viewers should and would find a lot of takeaways in that. So, Karthik, moving on to you, Finalizer, of course, is your core product. So, why don't you talk to us about it? What Finalizer is all about? What does it do? Just help us get beyond the word Finalizer.
Sure. I think Finalizer is a product that is very, very close to our heart, and a lot of time since we started Beyond Square has gone into nurturing and building this baby, right? And Finalizer stands for Financial Analyzer, and it is a financial consolidation, analysis, and reporting software. Now, if you think of a company as a human body, then I will say that the finance function is like its heart, and Finalizer is like an ECG to check if the heart is functioning properly. Right. So I would say that Finalizer is a performance report card for a company. And the importance of analyzing the performance of a company is obvious, right? And every company has to do it, will do it, and does do it. But what is not so obvious is that the process is extraordinarily manual, even in very large organizations. Now, this was not very intuitive to us. And we used to wonder why very, very large organizations like Reliance Industries or an Intel, companies that we came in touch with, and we used to interact with the CFOs or the financial controllers with. Why were these processes, the very core reporting processes of an organization, why were these manual? Was something that we found it to be a puzzle, and we wanted to solve that puzzle. When we got deeper into it, we obviously understood that there were quite a few reasons for that, right? And we said that there is a white space, there was an opportunity, and we wanted to make this whole process of digitizing financial reporting as painless as possible. And that's how Finalizer came about. And as to what Finalizer does, Finalizer takes care of reporting across various stakeholders, the executive management team, the board of directors, the regulators, the investors, right? It provides intuitive management dashboards. It helps you analyze trends of a company's performance. It helps you track key performance indicators. You get alerted if something is not going as per plan, right? If things are, uh, you plan for something and then there is a big variance with plan, you will get alerted so that you can take timely actions. You can analyze performance against those budgets that you have created. And if you are a multi-entity organization, Finalizer helps you consolidate numbers across these different entities, business segments, and subsidiaries so that you get both a consolidated view of your company's performance and also a comparative view of the company's performance.
Wonderful.
It also takes care of the external stakeholder reporting, like the regulatory reporting and the compliance reporting. Like in India, we have to file with the Ministry of Company Affairs. The financial statements for listed companies, it is quarterly, and for unlisted companies, it is annual. So the INGAP and Ind AS reporting in India, the SEBI reporting for listed companies, the IRDAI reporting for insurance companies, and also for companies that have overseas presence. IFRS reporting for most of the European companies, and US GAAP reporting for US based companies, and
Mhm.
local GAAP reporting for companies that have not adopted IFRS. All of this is possible with one single platform, which is Finalizer. So I will say Finalizer is a unified digital performance management solution.
Wonderful. I think that is pretty elaborate, Karthik, and I kind of get a import of what the platform is all about, what the product is all about. So you spoke about consolidation, you spoke about financial reporting, you spoke about the need for regulatory compliance, decision making, and KPIs, risk management, and the likes. And I was doing some web research before the show, and I realized that there are quite a few players in the market, both domestic and international, in this space. So, what
Sure.
exactly makes Finalizer distinct from these other players? So, what would be the differentiator that Finalizer is all about in the space, considering it seems to be fairly crowded in its own way? So, how does Finalizer stand out as
Sure.
compared to the others?
Sure. Sure. Now, is this space crowded? The answer is yes and a no. Are
Hmm.
there other players? The answer again is yes and a no. And before I talk about other products, let me first see how I look at the problem of financial reporting, right? So if we appreciate the problem, maybe we appreciate also what the other solutions are in the market today and what they do and what they do not do, right? Now, if we talk of the financial reporting problem, it can broadly be bucketed into three categories.
Hmm.
So you could have a company which has subsidiaries or associates or joint ventures, or they could have multiple branches, right? When they have a situation like this, they need to consolidate information across these different entities and get a unified picture of how the company is doing, both for internal consumption and for external regulatory reporting. And when we do this, there are a lot of accounting related challenges that crop up.
Hmm.
And what are these challenges? If you are a foreign subsidiary, then and you're reporting in India, then the translation of your foreign currency into Indian currency has to be done.
Hmm.
You could be a foreign subsidiary where the local reporting is in the financial calendar cycle, which is Jan to December, whereas in India, the reporting cycle is April to March.
Hmm.
If I'm consolidating information, I also need to convert the information from a Jan to December cycle to an April to March cycle.
True.
I need to reclassify information to suit the requirements of the regulator. I may have different companies in my group, but they may be using different ERP systems. How do I standardize this information across multiple source systems so that it can be reported for one standardized reporting purpose? Similarly, the second problem that typically comes up is what I call as a multi-segment problem. And a multi-segment problem is where I have different lines of businesses, I have different product lines, I have different service lines. I'm also doing business in different regions, different geographies, etc. How do I look at profitability by each of my segments is a big challenge again, because before you look at the output data, you need to work with the input data first. And that transformation of the input data to make it ready for consumption from a reporting perspective has a lot of accounting related challenges that need to be first addressed before the data is ready for visualization. And the third problem I would say is the multi-stakeholder problem, where as I told you, there are internal stakeholders and external stakeholders, and there are multiple such stakeholders. And the information, the way each stakeholder wants to slice and dice is different. The requirements of each of these stakeholders is different, whereas the underlying data is different. Now, it's not enough that I am taking this data and visualizing it. It is important for me to provide a platform that can handle the accounting process, convert the source data into a format that is ready for consumption and visualization. And that is where Finalizer comes into play. Now, if you look at the existing solutions, I can bucket them under three categories. One is the ERP products, which everybody is very familiar with. The second are the BI solutions, the business intelligence / reporting solutions. And the third are what I call the EPM solutions, the enterprise performance management solutions. Now, if you look at what ERP solutions do, they are excellent in handling the transaction data of a company. And they are also good at orchestrating different organizational processes across different functions of the organization. If you look at a BI tool, it is good at getting data from different sources, pivoting that information in a data warehouse, and helping you visualize that. Neither an ERP solution nor a BI solution has been designed to address the three category of problems that I spoke to you about, which is multi-entity, multi-segment, and multi-stakeholder. Now, there is a third category of solution, which I said is the enterprise performance management solution. And some of the solutions that fall in this space are the Hyperion Financial Management Solution from Oracle, BPC from SAP, TM1 from IBM Cognos. Now, I would say that implementing Hyperion or implementing the BPC is like making an elephant dance, right? It's not easy. It takes an enormous amount of time to implement the solution. And even after a protracted exercise of implementing these solutions, we find that most of the times the initiative turns into a failure, because for the business user, these platforms are like black boxes. They know what to feed into the box. They know what to expect as an output. But if there is a change in the business scenario, then they do not know how to make those changes in the platform. And it is natural that the business scenario is constantly changing. The criteria for decision making is constantly changing, which means that the business users should also be able to make the changes to the platform to take care of the evolving reality of the business. And because this is not possible, this is not something that is there in their hands, they have to rely on either their internal IT teams or on external consultants. And they get very frustrated because the reporting cycles are short and they are fast, whereas the time to change is much longer, and eventually the initiative falls apart. The adoption fails. So, as I see it, if you look at the entire reporting problem, financial reporting problem per se, it is different from operational reporting. And trying to use a BI or a reporting tool to solve the financial reporting problem is like wearing football shoes to play tennis, right? And that is where we thought that this is a huge white space. There could be products in this space, but they do not solve the underlying problem. And if we can build a solution which is fast to implement, which is easy for the business user to learn and to use, and it is also cost effective, then we have a winner in our hand. This is going to provide huge value to the finance function and to the CFO's office, and solve a big problem that they have been facing for a very, very long time.
Wonderful, wonderful, Karthik. I think that's pretty informative, and I'm sure a lot of viewers will take off a lot from that. The way you're able to categorize the three problem areas, the three kind of solutions that are available, and how each of them is boxed into a particular space, if I can call it, and how you need something that straddles across these three. And thanks for that, Karthik. I think to repeat, I think it was wonderful. It cleared a lot of stuff for me as an individual per se. So coming back to you, Venkat, yesterday when we were doing a dry run for this session, you spoke about obviously there was a lot of pride when you spoke about Finlizer, but one word that you always kept repeating was it's a very versatile product. It's a very versatile product, and that stayed with me. So why don't you talk about this entire versatility paradigm of Finlizer?
Yeah, I know. I think that's like a very, very passionate topic for me to talk about. But then I was told that no, we can't go very technical on this response. So let's try and get it to as close to business as possible. See, I think to really understand this, let's understand what does financial reporting entail, right? I mean, Karthik elaborated a lot on various aspects, but if you get down to nuts and bolts, right? They will have to come back. I mean, the finance team has to prepare multiple schedules. Number of schedules that go into a financial reporting goes to something like 50 schedules. And these 55 schedules will need data coming from multiple sources. Now, let's take an example, right? So, suppose you want to prepare an accounts receivable schedule where you need to bucket all the receivables based on aging. So, that's one schedule you'll have to prepare. You'll have to further bucket all these receivables based on, whether it's secured or not secured or it's doubtful. Or if you're looking at accounts payable, you need to further classify this based on MSME or non-MSME, right? Now, this is just, we're talking about just 3 out of the 50 odd schedules that they're prepared. Now, today, how does it happen? Right? They bring in all these different sources of data, and Excel acts like an excellent data modeling tool, right? So while the accountants don't realize they're excellent, data modeling people, right? While they may not tell that to themselves, right? So they bring in this different source of data, then they do this grouping, regrouping, aggregation, and apply all these accounting processes that Karthik spoke of, and then massage the data in a form it can flow into the financial report. Now, for us to build a solution, then what does it entail? For us to build a solution, we need to be able to provide these data modeling features, right, in a product. But having said, we can't build a database and give it to the end business users, right? I mean, they are coming from a business background, and we don't want them to have knowledge of IT, right? So they need to be able to do this. But at the same time, we need to be able to provide these data modeling features. So they need to be able to configure these different data sources. They need to be able to configure the grouping and the regrouping that needs to happen, the aggregation that needs to happen. And all of this should happen with drag and drop, with click of a button, right? And that's what it entails. So you've got to provide an extremely simplified user interface, while the engine behind should be capable of doing all of this. A. B, in order to do this, we have layered the data, right? So if you're going to look at the data which is coming in comes in at one level at the level of trial balance, which is very familiar for all accountants. So trial balance is the data that comes in. The other layer of data is the dimensional data or the segment data, which is the cost center, profit center level data. The other layer of data is the transaction data. So we need to be able to layer this data and provide a seamless flow of data across these layers, right? And thereby, so providing a straight through way, right, of getting to the reports, right? I keep saying this. I think one day, I think we will accomplish this, right? The financial reporting process today is like a 15-day, 18-hour workday process, which keeps the CFO and the entire close team on the tenterhooks, right? And we've seen this company after company, right? Why can't this be a process that happens every day, right? If you have a straight through process in place where you're able to generate your financial statement, financial reports along with the 50 schedules with the power of the computer science that's available now, right? The computing power that is available now, the big data and all of that that's available now, right? This could potentially happen every day, right? Making this a seamless, joyous exercise, relieving the CFO and the accounting team from the drudgery of preparing the reports to focusing on how to analyze these reports and improve performance. That is what is really goes into the solution. And that's why I say, while we have come a long way in addressing some of this, we still have a long way to go. That's where the versatility or the flexibility of the solution comes in.
That's fascinating, Venkat. I mean, I can imagine the mind-boggling amount of work that would have gone into this. And as you said, we're just scraping the surface as yet.
Yeah.
And I'm sure with so much of enhancement in computing power, the ability to AI, etc. I'm sure there is enough more to do out there.
Yeah.
So Kishore, before you kind of call me up on my phone and say, "Boss, what am I doing sitting here?" Let me direct the next question to you. Your role has always fascinated me. You're the Chief Digital Information Officer at Beyond Square. Talk to us about your mandate, and how does this role play into the entire business scheme of things.
Sriram, very thank you for bringing me in this conversation. I actually don't have a mandate. I think I don't drive any mandates. I see that the mandates are driven by my customers. The challenges they see in the ever changing and evolving reporting needs, be these internal reports or external reports required by the regulators, right? And that defines the mandate, and how I can solve the challenges. That's where the mandate comes. And we are seeing with the volumes of data increasing, the volumes of reporting requirements also increasing, internal as well as external. It becomes an interesting work for me to help my customers solve problems easily. And that's basically becomes my objective. So a clear objective for me is, which I also discuss very closely with Venkat and Karthik, is how we can make a finalizer a single reporting platform, for addressing reporting needs of a customer, right? So today I see customers using, 5-6 different utilities or applications, right? And use the same level of data. They massage it 6 times. They massage it. They present the same data. They have got 6 different teams working on these reporting requirements. How I can provide an integrated platform with multiple reporting solutions to address my customer needs. These could be reports related to financial consolidation. These could be reports related to management information reporting, or related to the newer regulatory reporting which my customer seeks today, like it's a fund reporting or it's IRDA insurance reporting. So my objective is, how I can make it faster and easier for my customers to adopt a digital solution to solve multiple challenges. Now, that's not simple, right? I see very clearly from the last 1 year, when the customer approaches us, they say they bring us 20 reports, 50 different sources of data, and they don't know how to solve the problem. They say, I have a struggle, help me out. So we start with basically, ensuring that we drive the process and the journey clearly. Say,
Mm-hmm.
example, if any transformation I have to take, or if any new journey you take, say you're going to take a new journey, you want to go from A to B place. What typically we do is, okay, I will go to a Google map and say, help me go from A to B. And these paths could be multiple, and the paths could be multiple based on the current situation. Similarly, our situation of our customers is quite different, and their internal ecosystems are quite different based on the processes, based on the systems they have. So my objective is, how I can make it simple and easier for the users to adopt the digital transformation, and build journeys which will be easier for the users to adopt and help them in their day-to-day working. One thing is very clear, which we all follow, is Finalizer as a product. We make it 0% code, 100% configurable, which means, any change, changes are constant in life, right? And that's what Karthik also mentioned, that the current legacy players, it's challenging. Every chain has to go through a project. A project has a budget has an effort, and there's also, most important is the time that's take to bring something new to the market, new to the organization. That is what we want to address as a product that you can, change fast, configure fast, and take it for your reporting needs. So that's my objective, and I believe we are heading in the right direction, and our customers also are seeing a huge value in what Finalizer is bringing for their reporting.
Wonderful, wonderful, Kishore. I think that was nice. It's refreshing to see an outside-in perspective to what you do, keeping the customer at the core of what drives our initiatives. Um, extending that further, Kishore, obviously there is so much of change in the. You spoke about organizations coming up with, 50 data sources, these kind of requirements, etc., etc. And with with the plethora of change that is happening around technology, and I was reading something on your website about AI being used. Would you want to quickly kind of share with us what is the foray that Finalizer and has been able to do using AI, and how has it added value to the customer?
Absolutely, while there is a mixed views that we get from different sources, saying, some are saying that AI is a hype, AI is
Mhm.
a myth, where we are seeing also real use cases in which, AI is really transforming the way people generate reports. So when I was looking into this journey for the last 1 year on the where we can bring artificial intelligence within Finalizer, and the use cases we have in the financial reporting, there are multiple use cases, and some of the use cases that we have already implemented within Finalizer, like today, when we get lots of input data, there's a source data that needs to be automatically tagged or mapped to output statutory report, and this is a continuously changing input data. Organizations may want to define new GLs, new groupings, all that can get automatically tagged using AI module that has been implemented by the Finalizer team. We are also looking as a next step in extending that to the audit function. These are evolving use cases. Something which is very close to my liking, or an aspiration which I'm really working on, is how I can get to a next level of conversational reporting using AI. Example, I want to ask Finalizer, tell me what changes I need to do in my organization to improve my profitability by 2%, right? Then an assisted bot, an assisted AI engine should tell me, okay, these are things you should do. And again, these are things which are realistic based on my organization performance in the past, levers which are actually influencing my organization, right? So that is something I'm seeing a very near use case which users will start adopting soon. It could be what it requires for me to grow my revenues. There comes the planning aspect, right? What aspects of
Sure.
planning should change, where
Hmm.
AI can bring in an assisted input. So that's on the conversational AI. We are also seeing AI in use cases like giving alerts or automated report on some unusual patterns of performance, right? Within an organization, information received faster is always better, so you can act on it, right? And the AI engine can actually identify such unusual patterns faster than a human person can do that. And these are use cases we are actively looking at how we can bring AI into active reporting and alerting to the CFO's office. And we
Wonderful.
see around that this is a newer field in the financial reporting. Organizations first needs to mature to a level of having hygiene in their data, and that is actively getting addressed with also this pandemic coming in. We are seeing the back office finance teams are more eager to adapt to a transformation and then take an AI journey. So I see an extensive use case that could be applied, but it has to be relevant for organizations that have a maturity on their data.
Interesting, Kishore. Thank you. And I think if I can kind of quickly see one paradigm that emerges from what the three of you have elaborated till now is that uh, Finalizer comes with a very strong ability, and I'm sure that you would have already seen it with your customers. There's a very strong ability to take the CFO role beyond, the number crunching, the bean counting, etc., and actually get down to driving the strategy and the vision of the organization. I think that's a radical shift that you guys are facilitating based on what you have said, and I'm sure it's a fascinating journey. Karthik, if I can just kind of change gears here, again going back to conversations that we have had in the past, when you've spoken about Finalizer, obviously the passion for the product always came through whenever I talked to the three of you and others in the organization. But one thing that you always said is close to your heart is the way the team has rallied around in the last 10 years, and how you have a team that kind of stays in the square, if I can say, and has been there always. So how do you keep your guys charged up, and how's the whole people dimension of Beyond Square? I want to talk about that, considering it's been 10 years and it's a pretty closely knit team, and a young team, and quite a small team at that.
Before Karthik answers that question,
Very,
I think the team kind of is in the square, but always thinks outside the square. So
Sure.
I just want to leave that here.
yeah. So, Sriram, I think you got a very important question out, and I think this is a time to offer our heartfelt thanks and gratitude to our for putting together such a world class product out in the market. And it is a very small team, as you said. It's a very close team, and they have done a fantastic job. And I will tell you what is our secret to keep employees motivated and engaged. Is that we very carefully avoid all HR best practices. So, so So by doing this, we have found that intentionally or unintentionally, by doing this, we have found that we have been extremely successful in building a highly motivated and highly charged team. Uh, what I see is most of the times organizations have become too process oriented and they have lost the human element. And uh, and I think it is inevitable for very large organizations because they have to adopt processes, otherwise they will not be able to function. But for an young organization like us, the advantage we have is that we know each other personally,
Mhm.
and everyone works with everyone. There is no hierarchy. Somebody who joined, probably yesterday, has an equal opportunity to interact with people who have worked in the industry for maybe 20, 30 years, right? Which in a very hierarchical organization could take a lifetime for somebody, right, to get that kind of exposure. The environment is very informal, it is very friendly, there's a lot of empowerment, the learning is very high, right, because everybody has to do everything, right? It's not straight jacketed, responsibilities are not siloed, people get to do a lot more things very early in their career, and that is the reason why there is a lot of learning. And for people who join a company during the early part of their career, the most important thing is the learning, right? Because what they learn in those 3 4 years is going to take them a long way in their career. The other thing is we don't follow a formal performance appraisal process. We don't like bucketing people in a bell curve, right?
Mhm.
We believe that each person contributes to the whole in a different way, in a very unique way. And it's not right for us to compare everybody with the same yardstick and then start placing them in a bell. And that is one of the learnings from what really affected us or bothered us from a formal appraisal performance appraisal process that we were used to in our previous avatar. And we have been doing all this, or rather, we have not been doing things that we are supposed to do, and we have been doing it very very successfully, and that has helped us to have close to a zero attrition year after year for almost 10 years now.
Wonderful, wonderful, Karthik. I mean, you spoke about the HR practices, which is why I kind of realized you have never shared any team Rangoli pictures with me. Yeah? I've never, I've never seen those kind of stuff. Yeah, but it's kind of fascinating because as a young organization and a small team, it kind of gives you the flexibility to kind of test out what you want. And I think what comes out very strongly based on what you said is the opportunity to learn. I think all the youngsters tuning in should take a cue here. It's so critical, this element of learning that you get when you work in a supposedly smaller organization where you actually get an opportunity to do everything right from day one. You kind of roll up your sleeves and get into the thick of things. I think that's a very, very fascinating dimension. And as Karthik said, 3 4 years of that, and then you're ready to do battle. You're completely geared up to do battle. That's fascinating, Karthik. I think we'll need to catch up more on that. But yes, that was insightful. So moving on, Venkat, the other dimension I wanted to talk about was, I mean, I also spent prior to my coach, facilitator, avatar, I spent some time in the IT space working for an organization which was both in the products and services space. And although not from a technical background, I do, I could kind of sense that services delivery has its own framework, product delivery has its own framework. And now that Karthik has said that you are normally not following practices, why don't you talk to us about your product management, IT product management frameworks? Is it something that you have adopted, generally accepted frameworks that are available? You have accepted, or you've kind of framed or something that is your own? How is this? And I'm sure it has evolved over time. So, and this is a very conscious decision as a product organization one needs to take. So, talk to us about what is the thought process behind that entire thing, and as the chief product officer, this is something that occupies your time and energy. So, how have you gone about it, and some insights into that dimension?
Absolutely. I think. Let me just take a completely diagonal cut of that, right? I mean, of course, the processes, uh, unlike some of the HR practices that we can avoid, I think it's important to have a certain basic set of processes when you're developing a product. So, I'm not going to say that we are running away from processes, be it CI/CD or be it Scrum calls and stuff like that, right? So
Sure.
also all the good kind of processes and practices that has to be followed for any IT project development, let's say project product development, I think has to be adhered to, right? But that is said, I think there's enough on that on the net and otherwise. Um, but there is enough on that, on so let me just say a couple of things which I think very useful, right? I think for the team and also the takeaway, right? One, I think is we've never uh, feared or stayed away from dumping something that we have done. We could have built something, right? And we know the things that we do, and we need to revisit this, right? So there are a couple of ways of revisiting it, right? So one, we could kind of react this and then make it fit for purpose, or we kind of completely rewrite this. There have been so
Sure.
many instances that we have not stayed away from dumping that and then going ahead and redoing it. Right?
Mhm.
So this has been a recurring theme over the last 10 years that we've made sure that if something is not fit for purpose, we can relegate it and we start afresh. Right? And that's very important because the immediate hunch is that there is time to market pressures, there are other pressures that are failing, and you want to just do a quick fix solution to that. And we know that that's like it's going to take you on a path which is certain failure. Right? That's one. Second is though we have multiple instances, multiple clients, right, on-premise cloud instances, right, we've ensured that we are only on one version of this product. So like you say, Google Chrome, which is
Mhm.
you always have the latest version. Similarly, Finalizer, all our clients will have the latest version. And there are only one version of this product. And we built this into the philosophy. It obviously puts a lot of tension in terms of release management, in terms of change management. But then overall, it makes the engine super efficient and very nimble. So you obviously can cater to client requirements much faster because we are on a common code base across all our clients at any point in time. So that's the
Sure.
second thing that I want to leave behind. The third thing I think is this is very important for all entrepreneurs who are into product development. I think is um, we start by understanding the client scenarios, right? And immediately there is a solution that emerges in our mind to address that particular client scenario, right? So it's very important to step back and see how this particular scenario can be abstracted because there's going to be multiple other scenarios and multiple other client situations. So whatever solution you're going to come with, as to cater to the fact that it's abstracted enough to be able to first you'll have to foresee other scenarios and to be able to address those scenarios. But that's a conscious call that I think every product manager has to make. And that also comes with a trade-off. Because the
Sure.
more layer of abstraction that you build, the more complex that the solution is going to be, and it's going to take much longer. While there is a client pressure, there's a time to market pressure to get that feature out in the market. But that's the trade-off that the product manager has to make. That's a very important trade-off that they have to make. And every time we have erred at the side of building the abstraction, which is probably why we're probably having this conversation that survived over 10 years.
Sure. Sure. I think that's interesting, Venkat. I think the what stands out is the ability to pick up something, see its relevance, discard it, move ahead, and having a single product that is or every release across so many customers. If you're, and I gather you have almost 50 customers, that's a pretty daunting task. And as you said, it calls for a lot of work in the background in terms of your configuration, release management, and it calls for a lot of discipline also. I think that's a very fascinating insight, and thanks for that. So Now, if I can, kind of shift gears in another direction, we spoke about the organization, the product, the frameworks, the outside-in approach that Kishore spoke about. Let me come back and kind of address something to you three as individuals. Okay, and this has been your first shot at the entrepreneurial journey for the three of you, and I'm sure it had its challenges, right? While and there would have been those sleepless nights. The effects of some of those are seen on Venkat's face and his hairstyle. Karthik and Kishore are getting there. But on a serious note, I mean, what are the entrepreneurial journey lessons that you guys have learned? I mean, 10 years back, things were even more raw. Okay. The market was different. It was an untested opportunity, as Karthik was mentioning at the beginning. It was a bit risky too. Services would always been a safer bet. So, if you step back and see what have been your entrepreneurial lessons, so to speak. So, Kishore, maybe we can start with you first, and then Venkat, and then come to
Sure.
So one point is it's important to make a start. A lot
Karthik.
of I've seen a lot of people think about becoming an entrepreneur. They aspire, but then they hold back. I think it's always a decision. It's an important and in a very strategic decision in life. Whether it's you're a young professional or a very experienced professional, right? While Karthik and Venkat started earlier than me, but we still all of had about each had about 15 to 20 years of experience before we landed up. Also, I see that a lot of young professionals moving to that direction, which is good for a country, for an economy, that you're creating more valuable products, more valuable ecosystem, and that is good. So important is to start, right? And that's a big decision. The other thing which I noticed, and I also follow very closely, and that's something I would like to share with the budding entrepreneurs would be, always keep yourself in shoes of your customer. Be extremely close to your customer while building something, right? Be a product, solution, process, right? Stay within the customer zone and learn from them, because they give you answers to a lot of challenges itself. How they behave. It could be a human factor, it could be a technology factor, or it could be a combination of multiple things working together, right? And the most important part is that once the customer sees your product brings value to a customer, it will generate revenue, and it's important for sustainability for any entrepreneur that the value customer sees is also bringing revenue, and that's creating sustainability. And this is a key factor I think entrepreneurs should look at when they're starting.
Sure. Thanks, Kishore. Venkat, how do you see, or what are the lessons you have learned, so to speak, in the last 10 years from an entrepreneurial dimension?
I mean, I think a couple of things. I think one, I think if I have to borrow Steve Jobs, who kind of is a great fan, I'm a great fan of him. If I have to borrow something from him, it's about connecting the dots, right? I think as long as you're doing things, I mean, and it's true for me, and it's true probably for everyone. And whatever you do, if you're going to, you will have to do it with full passion, full involvement, full engagement. And if you like what you do, and you're going to assimilate everything from that, and you never know how things get connected later on in life. Right? It's very difficult to see that moving forward, but when you look back, now I can see so many of those dots getting connected and then playing it out in my life. And I think so that's an important learning that keeps me going. Whatever we do now, I think that becomes the baseline for me to kind of go forward. The second, I think, is very simple, right? I think if you, I mean, every day, I mean, Karthik talked about people, the fantastic team that we have, and how it keeps us going. I think every day, when I start my day, right? I think it's the kind of adrenaline push that we get working with the team, right? Accomplishing whatever we have set out for, and that's been on every day over the last 10 years, right? So so how do we? So how can we take this, right, and have this achieved in a larger organization? Is something that for all of us to see, right? But in a smaller setup, in entrepreneurial setup, right? We I have seen this personally myself, right? So that's been the learning, right? And I'm sure there are ways of taking this to the larger community.
Sure, sure. Thanks,
So I
Venkat. Yeah,
yeah.
thanks. That's interesting. Karthik, what have been your lessons? The couple of lessons, that kind of stand out.
Yeah. I think if I have to look at this, then I would say, like what Kishore said, it's never too early to become an entrepreneur, and it's never too late to become one, right? No matter how much you have procrastinated it, if that is what you want to do, uh, the sooner you get to doing that, it is better. Because a lot of people are worried as to how their lifestyle will get impacted, their earnings will get impacted, their future will get impacted. Believe me, somehow things always work out, right? And there is no right way or a wrong way to be an entrepreneur. We are all first generation entrepreneurs. We had no background of doing business. We also had no background of building a product. In Infosys, we were in the IT services space, not so much of the product space. And we also targeted the Indian customer, right? The Indian segment was also foreign to us. We did not work with the Indian customer. And we learned that building a product is not easy. The Indian customer is extremely demanding. Satisfying their requirements is not easy, right? And if you are targeting the enterprise segment, then selling cycles are going to be long, right? The implementation cycles are going to be long. Realizing the revenue from the client is going to be long. But if you're patient, it will eventually pay off. So we are building this product organically. We are doing things the way we want to do it in our own slow but sure way of doing it. Suddenly we see that TVS Tires is a customer, Intel is a customer, Philips is a customer, and companies that we thought will never buy a product from a young organization like ours started buying our product. Right? So you never know where that inflection point is. So if you're patient, then something is bound to happen. It's very important to understand what the target segment and the behavior of the target segment is, understand their frustrations, and if you're able to build a product to address those frustrations, and if you're patient, then eventually things will start happening.
I think it's very interesting. Just to add to that, Karthik, I think if you go to a typical investor, we pretty much tick all the boxes that we should not be ticking, right? So we're catering to enterprise customers, we're catering to Indian customers, we're building a product which is on the cost side of the operations, right? I mean, you pick any of those points, and it's typically the boxes that you ideally don't want to tick. The investors would not want to take, right? And we are a bunch of guys who have not built the product before, right? And we come from a services background, right? So what it goes to say is that you don't necessarily have to take all the boxes that investors are looking for to jump onto an entrepreneurial journey.
Interesting, interesting. Thanks for that, gentlemen. So, we are close to the scheduled time, so I'll just have time for a couple of questions more. So, having come thus far, and Kishore, you were talking about how 10 years feels like the first step. So, how do you see the future?
Well, I think we are at an inflection point today. Finalizer as a product will is just a short of a few customers to touch 50. We are targeting 500 in few years, and the focus is on points specific, like international expansion. Currently, we are looking at expanding in the North American and in the European markets, and that is happening with strategic alliances with partners who would be very cohesive in our growth. And we are talking to the big four organizations as well. And the feedback has been extremely good. All of them have loved the product. They would like to take Finalizer to their customers. So that's one point, that the partner ecosystem, alliances ecosystem is something we are focusing to grow Finalizer fast. Second is on expanding or building on additional solutions, be build, self, or integrate, and provide a wider set of solutions to our customers. Like this year, we did fund reporting edition. We did insurance IRDA solution edition, which is being implemented for now for Reliance General Insurance. We are looking at taking newer solutions, be it solutions like the backward integration of planning, or forward integration in terms of reconciliation and audit automation, right? And any new compliances that we believe will add a strategic unified platform to our customer is our focus. So using these two models, we believe that Finalizer will be an excellent fit, and we look forward for reaching our goals of 500 customers in coming few years.
Wonderful, wonderful, Kishore. That's an extremely aggressive target, and it's good to hear the focus on strategic alliances, partnerships, etc., and of course the geographical expanse that you are looking at. So that's extremely encouraging, and I wish you and the team all the very best in this. So one question before we sign off, gentlemen. Again, you spoke about the fact that you were all first-gen entrepreneurs, and as Venkat was saying, the ticking of the boxes would not exactly be a pleasurable experience if we went the conventional way with you folks. But you're still there. You've done some exceedingly good work that you and your team can be absolutely proud of. And I'm sure there are a lot of entrepreneurs who will be watching this live, or they'll be tuning into this program later. Uh, if there were two pieces of advice that each of you would want to leave for young entrepreneurs, okay, what would those be in extremely crisp messages that you would want to leave entrepreneurs with, given your experience and learnings? What would they be? Probably Venkat, will start with you and then go on to Karthik, and then we'll wind up the proceedings with Kishore.
Sure. I think you got to love what you do, because I think it's going to be a tedious journey, a journey. It's going to take a significant amount of time, and so you got to really be passionate about what you're doing, so that you're not going to be throwing in the towel soon. And you got to have the grit and determination, to stick on and continue for whatever time it takes. So those will be my two pieces.
Wonderful, wonderful. Karthik?
I think that each person has their own belief system, their own style of working, their own interests and passions. It's important for a person to analyze this and take the path that they need to take. There is no right or wrong way. From our own experience, as I told you, it is important for each one to chart their own course and not get unnecessarily influenced or come under pressure of what the system says is the right way of entrepreneurship or the right way of doing things. If it works for you, it works for you. Just be ready for the long haul. If you are patient, if you believe in what you're doing, eventually things will work out. So that is about stay on the course and believe in yourself and do what you like to do, and don't be unduly pressurized by what the system says you should be doing.
Kishore, my friend, I mean, you have the proverbial last word. So what would you have to say?
Well, one point, of course, what I think is mentioned has been mentioned by Venkat is, do what brings gives you what's your passion, and sometimes you discover passion through experience, right? Sometimes you don't know what you want to do, but you slowly get to discover your passion and you get involved into it, right? That's one. And second, is there is no substitute for hard, right? It's if people are thinking that I will start something on my own, I'll be away from stress of corporate life or other part of stresses they see in corporate life. No, that's not going to go away. You will probably work more harder, and to be successful you have to work probably much harder than working for other organizations. So these are the two things: passion and hard work, must required for success.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, gentlemen. I think 68 minutes just went by, and it was a fascinating journey that we were all part of during this time. It was great to see and hear about how you started off, and how you kind of zeroed in on this domain. What is the value that you're bringing for the clients, the future plans, the people approach that you have, the lack of the Rangoli parties, the frameworks that you have, and how you've kind of grown, experimented, uh, and kind of adopted, adapted. It's been an incredible journey. So thank you so much for taking time out and sharing this particular journey with us. It's been an extremely enriching conversation for me. A lot of insights, and I'm sure the budding entrepreneurs who are listening to it, uh, the young entrepreneurs who want to get into this space, the IT product space, they now have something to clutch on to, some dimensions to look at, explore, a point of reference, so to speak, and with the aggressive plans that Kishore outlined, I'm sure there's a lot that we can expect and a lot we will see in the future. Thank you so much again, and all the very best to you and the team. We hope to see you guys again in the future at some point in time on the show. And thank you so much, viewers, for listening in. I do hope you found this extremely useful and insightful. I certainly did. Do write to us with your feedback at reach@tlrnow.com. With that, this is Sriram here, signing off. Wishing you all the very best in your professional and personal journeys. Keep watching our shows. This is the 61st show, as I said. We have a lot more coming up. Do connect with us on social media. We are on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Keep connecting with us. Keep watching our shows. Let's all use this as an opportunity to learn. The year is coming to a close. It's been an extremely challenging year. But again, we have all learned a lot, and that is what life is all about. And that's what we at TLR are trying to achieve through our mentoring, coaching, and training initiatives. So do keep in touch. All the very best to each one of you. Take care and stay safe. Good night.
Thank you, Sriram, for expertly navigating us through the interview. You made it extremely engaging and got a lot of information out from us, which otherwise would probably not have been possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ram.
Thanks, Sriram.
Thank you. Bye bye.